Yo, 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 it's another day to be alive, another day to be glad that we are alive, another day to be glad that we are surviving and that we can breathe and talk and move and do all kinds of fun things. Guess what? I want to talk today about how insane things are getting in our world and how we are at the spot where it's no longer time to just be nice and say things that are only polite and that don't offend people. We are at the boiling point, ladies and gentlemen, of where truth, reality, and lies, deception, and falsehoods are basically competing with each other for what people are actually going to believe. And our society is a society, popular culture is defending the falsehoods. They are defending things that aren't true about reality. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the dude that just won the women's swimming championship, NCAA, for the women's competition. This dude said he's a woman, and so the politically correct culture is allowed him to race against these women, and lo and behold, he destroyed them. He beat the Tokyo 2021 Olympic silver medalist by like 2 seconds. And you can look at the pictures. This guy is standing on the podium. He's 6'3" or 4. Next to all these girls. I'm just going to tell you facts. Your biological attributes, your being a male or female, is not dependent on what you think you are. It does not change your DNA. For any of you that are activists that are trying to defend trans rights, okay, cool. Saying that they're a human, saying that they deserve to have the same treatment and rights as everybody else, I'm 100% on board with that. 100% agree. Accepting their mental state of mind as a confirmation of physical reality, no, not on board with that. Just because a dude thinks he's a woman, and we don't even know the authenticity of that thought because we're not in his mind, it doesn't make him one. Secondly, since he is a biological man, him saying that he's a woman doesn't mean that he has any idea of what being a woman actually is, because he's only ever been inside of a man's body. This is indisputable. It is indisputable that that human will never be able to give birth to other humans. That is something that females do. He is not a female. He is a male that thinks, or at least says that he thinks, he's a female. Any of you guys that are activists, have you ever studied the actual science that a lot of these pundits like to tout around as proof that transgender individuals are the sex that they identify as? Have any of you ever studied the actual science, the studies that they've done to allow that proof? I have studied it, what there is. There's hardly any. The most recent thing that came out of Johns Hopkins University, a professor there just called it like it was. He said there is scant, if any, evidence to suggest that a trans person is born that way, as opposed to having different environmental factors, could have even been in the womb, take place that cause something to change inside of his brain to make him or her think that they are what they are. There is very little evidence. The one thing that people go off of online the one study that they go off of is one where it suggests that a trans person thinks more in alignment with the sex that they identify with than the one that they are biologically assigned at birth. Okay, so that particular issue was done over the course of some 20 years by one dude who took cadavers, and I believe he had 6 or 12 cadavers, and in them he studied the brain matter, and the brain matter happened to align more closely to the sex that they identified with than a normal heterosexual or even homosexual individual that thinks that they are the sex that they are assigned with, their biological sex, would have. So in other words, when they think and thought patterns take place inside of their brain, there's certain modes of their brain that operate more closely to the sex that they identify with than the one that they are biologically. There are a couple different explanations for this. If nothing else, there are questions that should be asked in the name of science. Science is about finding out what the truth is. It's not about forcing people to believe what a lot of activists want you to believe so that they can feel better about their version of what reality is. That's not what science is. Science is, aside from whether you're offended by it or not, it's finding out what the truth is. And that's what is the key, most important point. The science of transgenderism, there's a ton of questions that are not being asked. So, one, right off the bat, because someone thinks that they are like someone else, the brain can do all kinds of amazing things. It's called neuroplasticity. It's capable of physically altering itself, firing in new neural pathways based off of what the brain thinks that it is. Who tells the brain what to think that it is? The human does. The human that is running it, the spirit behind the human, whatever, consciousness. If you think things in a particular direction, your brain will accommodate that. So that's one possible explanation for why the brain fires more correctly or more closely to the sex that they think that they are. But the other thing that they're not addressing, what components make a male and a female? Is it just one? Is it two? Is it three? Is it 100? Any of you watching this, do you know? If you don't know, but there's scientists or publications saying this is proof, but they're showing you one thing, that's not proof. So having thought patterns or certain modes operating the way that the opposite sex operates in does not make definitively that person into the opposite sex. There are multiple factors that determine someone being a male or a female. So, as far as reproductive organs goes, a female is the one that gives birth to humans. Males cannot do that. The guy that won the swimming competition will never give birth to females or males or humans. It won't happen. It's impossible. That's called science. Science shows that a male grows taller. A male grows stronger. A male is more athletic. These are things that science actually shows. Science is where you take empirical points in reality, facts, data, you analyze them, and you look at them objectively and you say, when we do this in this situation, this does this. So the science has actually been acted out, proving the point that people are making that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. They've been acted out, and we've been able to observe them through these swimming competitions. Guess what? That dude has been swimming against these women for the entire season. Guess who's won all of his matches? It isn't any of the girls. So, the question is he just like a girl? Because if him thinking that he is a girl is the only thing necessary for him becoming a girl, then all of his scientific observable data points, such as being stronger, being taller, being more athletic, all of those things should disappear. He should morph magically into a feminine or female version of himself. And all of his strength, all of his characteristics that he possesses because of reality, because of, DNA, genes, all of those things have made him what he is. But they aren't disappearing. And so we observably see in science, we see science demonstrate for us as we watch it in real time. He keeps winning. Guess what? If you do an experiment with the top male athletes versus the top female athletes, and you can do the experiment over and over and over again, the way that you get scientific data is doing that. And you find out what the results are. You tell me, without using any form of political correctness, just use your own brain, use common sense. If you have the top male athlete competing against the top female athlete, and you run that simulation over and over and over again, who is going to win almost every time, if not every time? It's not hard. It's science. It's actual science. And it's something that you can observe. You don't need to read about studies done in labs where they're trying to isolate a particular gene, because it's not just a particular gene that makes a male and a female a female. It's a bunch of stuff. And this dude, just because he's taking estrogen, doesn't make him a female. Just because he's taking testosterone blockers doesn't make him a female. So if you were to take the best male athlete and the best female athletes, and you've raced them over and over and over again, and the male keeps winning, do you think, let's say now, that the male has an epiphany, that top male athlete has an epiphany, he now thinks, he now realizes, he now identifies, use whatever word you want to put into that slot, he identifies now as a woman. Does he magically lose all of his ability to do what he just did in the previous 100 races that you guys just had? Does anything change? Does anything change at all in the outcome? Will he cease to beat the females because he now had an epiphany and he now thinks that he's a woman? Does anything change? No? Okay, so what that suggests is that the science says that just because you think something, it does not affect the outcomes of whether you are a male or a female. So this is getting ridiculous. What's next? Tell me what's next. Are we going to start letting dudes that think that they are women, are we going to let them start boxing? Are we going to let them start fighting in the UFC? That happened actually already in the UFC. There was a dude that was named Fallon Fox. Now, I don't know if he's gone through the surgery or not. That's one thing. It's after you've gone through the surgery, I don't even know if that makes a difference either. There needs to be a division for transgender athletes, if that's what matters to them. It is not the responsibility of humanity in the name of inclusion in the name of political correctness, in the name of me being nice, accepting, and not offending you, that we need to alter reality and shame members of participants in normal reality, those who are acting out their genes, their genetics, their biology, according to the genetics that they've been born with, the ones that they have, the actual ones. It's not our responsibility to penalize those people for the sake of someone who thinks that he or she is something that they physically, genetically are not. It is not the responsibility of our society to bend over backwards for these people and ostracize, penalize, cancel, demonize the people that stand up and say, hold up, that's a mental disorder. That mental understanding of reality is not compatible with actual reality. The science shows that this person, just because they think something different, doesn't change their outcomes. If I think that I'm a 6'6" black man and I should be in the NBA, and I'm really good at basketball. I'm so good at basketball because I identify as a 6'6" black man. You know what? NBA, why are you not giving me $20 million a year? Why are you being a bigot against me? You're not even letting me go out there. You're not letting me go out and dunk. You're not letting me go out and throw down and freaking dunk all over LeBron James, because I identify as not only a 6'6" black dude that can dunk like a motherfucker, but I am also better than LeBron James. I identify as the best I'm better than Michael Jordan. I identify as the best basketball player on the planet that has ever existed, and I'm going to dunk all over all their asses. I will prove it to you. Why don't you let me out there? That's what I identify as. Let me get out there and let me dunk on some NBA dudes. There's a movie called White Man Can't Jump. Well, good thing. I'm not a white man. I'm not a white man. Look at me. Oh, you looking at me and you're assuming that you know who I am? You're assuming that you know my pronouns? Are you assuming that you know my racial nouns? Because you see me? Because you're using what? Things like genetic facts? That means that you know who I am? Well, you are sorely mistaken, and I am extremely offended. I am so offended. I want $20 million right now. Oh, hold up. I just realized. Actually, you know what? I've known it my whole life, and I'm just now coming out and saying it. And I'm so happy to be finally saying this. I realized that I am a black woman that grew up in the 60s. Actually, no, I grew up in the 50s or the 60s. Either one. But the point is, I grew up in an era when there was really racial divide, when we couldn't drink out of the same water fountain as white people, as white folk. We couldn't do that. We weren't allowed to. And number one, I am sick of all of these people talking about how racism hasn't gotten any better, because I know for a fact I was there. Racism has gotten a lot better. I want to speak in front of the National Black Caucus. Why am I not speaking in front of the National Black Caucus? I am a black woman from the 50s and the 60s who saw it all firsthand. I was essentially, I wanted to go and march down the bridge with Martin Luther King. I wanted to. I did. I remember wanting to do that, but I didn't actually get to go. I wasn't there in person, but I was basically there. So that's number one. I want to speak at the Black National Caucus. Why am I not allowed to speak there? I am a black woman from the 50s and 60s. I saw what racial discrimination really looked like, and I am so offended. Look at me. Oh, you're looking at me? Are you looking at me and assuming that because you see me, that somehow means that you know me? What I really identify as? Did you ask me my pronouns? No, you didn't ask me my pronouns. The second thing is, I want to make sure that I get to change my clothes in women's bathrooms. It's not at all because I like looking at other women. Not like that. How do you know that? How do you know my intentions? Oh, how dare you question my intentions? How dare you question the intentions of a black woman from the 50s and 60s? I deserve to not be segregated from my own sex that I identify with. And I am not wanting to be in these changing rooms for anything other than to be in the place where I am me. I have no desire, and there's no way that, because I told you that I have no desire to look at other women, to look at women without their clothes on, I would not even think of doing something like that. And it is impossible. I'll tell you right now, it is impossible for someone who is a biological white man who knows now that he is a black woman from the 60s. It is impossible for that individual to look at women in a shower or in a bathroom or anything like that in any way cisgender related, because that's disgusting that you would put that social construct on me. All right? I've really ranted and I've gone overboard and I just don't know what to say. All I know is that, you know what? Come to think of it, I identify as Leah Thomas. So I want to go and I want to swim with the women too. I want to swim with the women because I am a woman and I'm actually him or her, or it's complicated. But I want to do that and I have the right to, because I said so. And because all these other people are disgusted with you for pointing out things such as science that says that I'm not that. And I'm sick of it. And I've got a lot of people on my side, including scientists, who try to make people feel bad for questioning my version of reality. So I'm going to start swimming. I want my trophy. I haven't gotten my trophy yet. So somebody give me my trophy, because I'm sick of this discrimination. It's disgusting. Okay. Reality is reality. And it's easy to point out these social constructs that, yes, it's so wrong to offend people. You know what's worse than offending people? Lying to them, or believing lies, or telling children from an early age that if they feel like they are something, that means that they are something. Science demonstrates that the way that you think and the things that you feel do not correspond with what reality is. They do not make reality other than the only reality that happens inside of your mind. It's time we stand up. It's time we stand up and start speaking our minds on facts. What's next? Are you fathers, mothers? Are you cool with knowing that the reality potentially exists or will in the near future, where a dude says that he's a woman, wears a dress, goes in to your daughter's bathroom, and right there in front of your daughter, you don't know what he is going to do? Or are you cool with a dude in a dress getting into an altercation with a biological woman at some bar when they're out and they start exchanging blows? Are you cool with that guy in a dress having an all-on fight and that being something with a female and having that being something that is acceptable in our society? If you are not cool with that, this shit needs to stop. We need to stand up. It's going to keep going until people with common sense and using their God-given brains to look at what science and reality are actually showing by observation. It's going to take us to do that in order to stop this madness from continuing on. It's time we do it.